Okay, I think we're ready. Okay. The Rules Committee will come to order. Earlier today, the Senate voted once again to block the President's national emergency declaration. And as you know, this is what the President is using to justify diverting more than $3 billion from military construction projects to build his, in my opinion, wasteful border wall. It was a strong bipartisan vote with 11 Republicans joining Senate Democrats. It's now our turn to take it up, and let me turn to the ranking member, Mr. Cole, for any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, if I may, I'd like to insert a statement of administration policy into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. We're here on short notice to consider SR Res 54, a resolution terminating President Trump's emergency declaration for the southern border. I think it's worth noting that we've already considered this exact bill once before this Congress. The President vetoed that bill, and we did not override his veto. And the only reason we're considering this resolution today on an emergency basis is because the Senate decided to pass this bill again under a different bill number. Go figure. Back in February, I opposed this exact bill. I see no reason to deviate from that opposition today, Mr. Chairman. Whether the majority likes it or not, it's an unassailable fact that the United States needs additional resources for border security. After Congress refused to give the President the resources he requested to appropriately secure our southern border, he sought an alternative path to get what was needed done. Whether you agree with that path or choose not to, the fact is that the President recognized the need for additional security and did what he could to make it a reality. Mr. Chairman, I've said here over and over again, this Congress, that a majority needs to do more to engage with Republicans and with the President on border security. We need additional resources to protect our southern border. The American people have told us time and time again that they want action on border security. It's high time to do so. Regardless of the outcome of today's legislation, I would encourage the majority to reach across the aisle to work with Republicans on making additional border security a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I guess the only answer I have as to why we're doing this today is because now we know what projects specifically the President wants to cut. And when he ran for office, he said that he wanted to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it. He didn't say he wanted military families to pay for it. So I want to ask unanimous consent to insert in the record the list of all the military-related projects that the President will cancel. With that, I now will entertain a motion from the distinguished gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee grant SJ Resolution 54 relating to a national emergency declared by the President on February 15, 2019, a closed rule. The rule provides 1 hour debate equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. The rule waives all points of order against consideration of the joint resolution. The rule provides that the joint resolution shall be considered as read. The rule waives all points of order against provisions in the joint resolution. Finally, the rule provides one motion to commit.
You've heard the motion from the gentleman from New York. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. The vote is now on the gentleman's motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Hastings. Aye. Mr. Hastings, aye. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Mr. Perlmutter. Aye. Mr. Perlmutter, aye. Mr. Raskin. Aye. Mr. Raskin, aye. Ms. Scanlon. Mr. Morelli. Aye. Mr. Morelli, aye. Ms. Shalala. Aye. Ms. Shalala, aye. Mr. DeSaulnier. Aye. Mr. DeSaulnier, aye. Mr. Cole. No. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Woodall. No. Mr. Woodall, no. Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess.
No.
Mr. Burgess, no. Mrs. Lesko. Yeah. Mrs. Lesko, no. Mr. Chairman.
No. No.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, aye, 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 aye.
Mr. Chairman, aye.
Aye. And how is Ms. Scanlon recorded?
Ms. Scanlon is not recorded. Ms. Scanlon, aye.
Clerk, report the total.
9 yeas, 4 nays.
Motion is agreed to, and the gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli, will be handling this for the Democrats. And Ms. Woodall will be handling it for the Republicans. That's terrific. And with that, without objection, the committee is adjourned. All right.